Hello guys, I'm alper from Cosmos Robotics, and today I'm going to be explaining the main components of an FRC robot to you. So first and obviously most important is the actual chassis of the robot. Mainly in FRC competitions we have two kinds of chassis. The first one, and this is arguably the most basic one, is the tank tire chassis. The tank tire chassis has 6 wheels, 3 wheels on each side, and it works by rotating each of the 3 wheels individually. So one 3 side has a separate motor and the other 3 side has a separate motor. And if you want to go forward, let's say, you spin both of the motors forwards. And if you want to go backwards, then you spin all the wheels backwards. But then, let's say you need to go sideways, then you spin one set of wheels forwards and the other set of wheels backwards, which turns the robot. And when you get to the specific direction you want it to, then you can start turning all the wheels in unison to march forward. The second chassis we have is the swerve chassis. This is a bit more complicated and a bit harder to do for rookie FRC teams. So the swerve chassis has 4 wheels on each corner of the chassis. These wheels have they have 2 motors attached to them. One of the motors is for actually rotating the wheel, and for example, we have to go forward, we have to rotate the wheel to go forward. But the other motor controls actually the direction in which the wheel is looking. So in a swerve chassis, if you want to move forward, we would turn all the wheels in one direction and to move forward. But if you want to move it sideways, instead of actually turning the robot sideways and going forward, we instead spin all the wheels to look sideways, and then the robot goes sideways when we spin all the wheels. So in a swerve chassis, you don't actually have to look in the direction the robot is going. The swerve chassis can just go wherever it likes without changing the direction which the robot is looking. One of the main parts of the robot is the roborio, which is actually the brain of the robot. This is the microcontroller or computer that handles every calculation and actually controls every motor in the robot. The roborio is the only microcontroller or computer allowed to control the robot in FRC standards. You can use like an Arduino for lights, visualization, that kind of stuff, but the roborio should be the main thing that's controlling the robot. So the roborio is mainly coded in Java coding language, but NI Robotics also has a specific program called LabVIEW, which you can do visual programming to control the roborio and to control the robot with the roborio. And finally, there is seasonal parts of the robot. So what I mean when I say seasonal parts of the robot is parts that are not the chassis. Parts apart from the chassis, up from the chassis. We call them seasonal parts of the robot because in a FRC every season there's a different game. So every season you're actually building a different robot, but since you already have a chassis from the previous season, you use that chassis. So the under part is actually the chassis, but the upper part is the seasonal part of the robot. This is where the actual design and engineering comes in, because this is different every year. For example, if we have a competition where we have to throw balls, then we would have to design the seasonal part of the upper part of the robot to actually be able to shoot balls. If you have to hold cubes in the competition, for example, then you have to scrap it and redesign it to actually hold cubes. And so this is the most important part of our robot, I would say. Yeah, and so these are the main components of the robots. If you want to, you can click on the screen. That's a video where I explain the electronic parts of the robot, and I get into more detail about how they're connected and how we actually build a robot like this one. Thank you.